Detroit Lions are all over the national news. They're all over. And for a little Detroit show that's putting their big toe into the national pond, the timing really couldn't be any better. And the Detroit Lions thing is already off the rails. And it's not just locally, it is nationally. But we'll address it on the local level. You know, we're Detroiters, Metro Detroiters, however you want to phrase it. And I am baffled, completely baffled by the stories, the narratives, the perspectives that people are having. I think people are getting it wrong. So we're on the national stage. We're getting a lot of affection. The back patting is going on ad nauseum in town. And everyone's doing cartwheels. And it's cartwheels based on a number of factors. Dan Campbell, new head coach, has this wonderful, exciting, eccentric, funky press conference. And we feel like Dan Campbell understands us. He gets the pain. He feels our pain. He was here for 5 seconds of 0-16 in 2008. So everyone's excited about Dan Campbell, right? Head coach, very exciting stuff. We're all going nuts. Brad Holmes, the new GM. He's been on the job for 1 week, and he completely fleeced the Los Angeles Rams in the Matthew Stafford trade. So everyone's excited. We got the GM. We got our guy. And the worst of the three, the most egregious of the three, and we're going to get into it on a deep level, Sheila Fordham, the third crack in that family's bloodline at getting this ownership thing done right and competently. Sheila Fordham, we are told, is running this thing differently. And it is based on a very small sample size, based on very minute, if any, evidence. I would argue that the evidence is the contrary, and we're going to get into that. So I know everybody's excited. Everyone's saying Dan Campbell's great. Holmes is great. Sheila Fordham is a breath of fresh air, I guess, as much as you can be, being the third member of that in that bloodline to run this thing. Everyone's excited. I'm going to be the wet blanket. And I don't want to be. I have no interest in being the wet blanket. I wish I could get on board with this stuff. But let's go right down the list. What did we talk about? Dan Campbell. Everyone's very excited for Dan Campbell. Easy to forget that he is a position coach that no one else even interviewed. No one asked to interview. So the other 31 teams in the league not only didn't hire him, they had no interest in hiring him. And you can talk about, oh, he has experience because he was an interim head coach. That is the biggest asterisk. That doesn't count. He was an interim coach 7 years ago in Miami. You're not organizing training camp. You're not picking the roster. It's easy to be the substitute teacher that is the rah-rah fun guy and everybody loves you coming off a tyrant like Joe Philbin, or like we saw the players in Detroit loved Darrell Bevell on the heels of the Matt Patricia tyranny. So everyone's excited about Dan Campbell. He might be good. There's no reason to suggest that he will be. Blind faith. Let's move on to Brad Holmes. Everyone's celebrating Brad Holmes, the new GM imported from the Los Angeles Rams. The bottom line is he is a scout who has never run a building, has never run a department, has never run anything. And I know locally Carlos Monterez of the Free Press got a lot of heat. Now, I'm no fan of his, but Carlos Monterez of the Free Press said they hired the guy who was 5th or 6th on the organizational chart for the Rams, and he jumped 4 spots number 1 in Detroit. He might be good. He might be good. But again, blind faith. You're basing it on nothing. There's no evidence to suggest it. He has no track record leading anything. And that brings me to the third and final point, which is just egregiously bad. That Sheila Fordham is being mistaken as some breath of fresh air. But the bottom line is she is still the one who told you in December of 2019 that Bob Quinn and Matt Patricia were good. And we'll get to that later. But that's the bottom line. So you can say Sheila Fordham is great. She's a breath of fresh air. She is the one that endorsed the return of Quintricia for year 3 in Detroit. It was an unmitigated disaster. Anyone with 3 brain cells firing in their brain knew it was going to be a disaster. So right there, you have 3 pillars that this faith is built on. And there ain't one solid one out of the 3. So everywhere I look, this organization is being praised. And it's like how soon we forget the organization we're talking about.
Freaking idiot. shouldn't even have a show.